It's basically you get together either by yourself or with a group of a couple of people and you make a game together in a short amount of time.
It's like a hackathon meets a music jam where you just sort of get together and you get a theme and you just make a game from start to finish.
You can make a game that's actually fun in just a short amount of time, like in just a day or 2 days.
They are like the best crucible of creativity that I've ever seen. The thing you do when a game jam starts is you try and think of what you can do with the theme, what you can do with the theme in terms of mechanics, in terms of narrative, what can you make with this. And the process I go through is I try and come up with a number of ideas and then dispose of the first three like immediately without even thinking about them, because the first three ideas you can come up with are the ideas everybody can come up with and they're not interesting. So I try and find something that I can be relatively sure of is unique or interesting or different, and do that by forcing myself to be really picky about what I pick, what I start working on. But I also don't let myself spend too much time in that stage, because a game jam is about creation. It's about daring to allow yourself to make mistakes. It's not about planning out the best game ever. It's like a music jam. You grab your guitar and you just start playing some tunes, and it doesn't really matter where you go or whether it's perfect. It just matters that you're playing something. A game jam is very similar. It doesn't matter whether it's good or not. All that matters is that you went through the process of creating something. A game jam is it's an event that game developers do. It's basically an exercise to keep your creativity sharp or to create something that you otherwise wouldn't. The basic idea is that you set yourself a limited amount of time and a specific theme, then try and create something within those boundaries. It very much stems from the belief that creativity is helped by constraint, that it is something that flourishes under constraints. So we impose on ourselves limitations and then try and create something. Sometimes game jams can be competitions, sometimes they're collaborative, sometimes they have judges, sometimes they don't. Jams, as we call them, manifest themselves in many different ways, but their goal is always to foster creativity.
Tell people who want to get into game development to go to jams. Even if you've never made a game before and you think you're not going to be able to finish a game jam, or you feel like you're inexperienced, a jam is such a good way to learn how to make a game, because you're being forced to, in one weekend, come up with an idea, prototype, make it, polish it, and essentially release it, all within this little 48-hour span. And it's so educational to just go through that process and see what goes into making a game. And even if you don't contribute as much as you would hope that you would because you're inexperienced or whatever, you get to see other people making it, and you get to go through that, and you get to see how the whole process goes, which I think is really, really, really important. And plus you end up meeting a bunch of other developers, and you get to network, and you get to talk to other people who are passionate about making games and doing a bunch of things like that. So I would say definitely, if you are a new developer, go to a game jam as soon as you can. I think the biggest thing that you get out of game jams is that, one, you end up working with people you've never worked with before. Even if you're at a jam at your sort of local community, there's always people who you've never worked with before who come in, and it's fun to sort of push yourself to work with other people. It's weird because it's a low pressure and high pressure environment all at the same time, because it's low pressure because you're not actually expected to create something wonderful, you're just sort of expected to create something. It's also high pressure because you're trying to do it in 48 hours. Yeah. So just sort of like a really wonderful way to push yourself to make something with little consequence if you don't really accomplish anything. It's sort of a break from the monotony of whatever project you're working on. It's just a way for you to try something new and experimental, and in a way that you wouldn't think of, because a lot of jams have themes, and those themes sort of push you to think about a different idea that you wouldn't have come in with otherwise. So it's just sort of a nice creative outlet to try and do something quickly and new.
When we first started doing game jams at Double Fine, like we had kind of been working a lot, and it was on Brutal Legend, and we had built this engine from scratch, and we had, we'd been working on it for 3 years, and we're all really excited about the game, but it was hard to stay motivated for that long. And Tim decided he asked us to take a break for 2 weeks and just completely forget that's Amnesia, what we had been working on, and make a game that's based on some pitched ideas that the team had, to see just like what the game engine could do. And when he pitched this idea to us, our reaction was like, oh God, 2 weeks worth of crunch, this is going to be terrible. And now, like, we had been working so hard on Brutal Legend, and we're losing this time, or we have milestones coming up. But we did this anyway, and what it actually did was somehow it reinvigorated our interest in Brutal Legend, in the work that we had been doing before. All of these problems we had been agonizing over for, maybe a month or so, some problems that we just could not figure out how to fix, all of a sudden seemed like nothing, like we could just, handle whatever it was. And I think that was because of the game jam that we had just been through. Like, when you have such a short amount of time, you're forced to make decisions very quickly, and you have to trust your gut because you really have no time to vacillate at all. You get to solve a lot more problems than you might be used to, like during your regular work. You get to work on you get to do types of work that you normally don't, come across. Like, for instance, we didn't have an audio person for the project that I was on the first Amnesia fortnight, and so I actually did a lot of the audio work myself. And what that did was it gave me like a kind of a newfound empathy for what it's like to be an audio designer at the company, and I just understood what their workflow was, and kind of what problems they might run into, what tools could have been better for them, and things like that. And it was just really fun. Like, it was just, I never thought I could do audio, but I got to do it, and it was a lot of fun. As for programming, like, I ended up doing, it was shocking to us at the end of these 2 weeks what we managed to accomplish. I mean, it really felt like we had the complete there were small games, but they felt really complete and cohesive. And I think game jams can really surprise you. Like, you might not have realized how much you could do, or how much talent you really had in one particular thing. Maybe you find out you're secretly an amazing artist. You never know.